Hey everybody, it's Jim here, and today we're going to be taking a look and a listen to this 2010 77 Guitars Exrubato Standard 2, handmade in Japan at the Asuka factory in the Nagano Prefecture. These are the same people that have made the Jaguar style guitar behind me under the brand name Momose, and also the other 77, the Albatross, that I have grown to really, really love. I've always wanted to try one of the handmade Japanese versions of the Exrubato. For over a year now, I've had this guitar. This was my introduction to the brand to begin with. This is an import version of these guitars, and unfortunately, standard production of the made in Japan versions are no longer available from Deviser outside of special runs, which is kind of unfortunate. And these, called the Japan Tune-Up series, have kind of taken their place, with the majority of the guitar being built overseas, which is unspecified exactly where overseas they're made, whether it's China, Indonesia, or the Philippines, because there's no markings anywhere on this guitar, and then shipped back to the Asuka factory to have the luthiers there really make sure the guitar is playing well, that the frets are all set as far as a level and the roundness, the comfort, the playability of the guitar, and the reliability as far as the tuning stability when it comes to the nut being filed absolutely perfectly. There's a big difference between these two guitars. I don't want to harp too much on this in this specific video, but without this guitar and taking the chance on this one over a year ago, I may have never found myself with this one in my hands, and I'm very happy that that is the case. But before I put this guitar back on the stand, I did want to point out something I found very interesting that I had not seen on any other 77 made in Japan model, and that has to be the shape of the headstock itself. The blue guitar, the import one, shares the same exact kind of neck shape to it as far as the headstock goes here. Oops, that was almost really bad. With it flaring out and really being its own thing. Whereas this one, the Exrubato Standard, this one is much more traditional and from a distance can be easily mistaken, I can see it happening, for a Gibson style headstock. Minus the fact that, of course, it does say 77 guitars. And the last thing I'd like to go over here before we go into the sound samples, and then ultimately my overall opinions on the playability, the build quality, and if I think this is that much better than the blue import version of this very same guitar that I've had for over a year now, I did want to point out that this guitar has been modified. It's a common modification, and somebody named Larry Carlton happened to make it kind of more mainstream, so to speak. His number one Gibson ES335 was originally a trapeze tailpiece, not a stop tail. This guitar, same exact story, as you can see from the holes that are still there on the base of the instrument. Why would somebody want to do this modification? It has a lot to do with string tension, feel. Bending notes can be really tough, especially depending on the gauge of string that you're using, as well as the tuning that you are playing within. On a trapeze tailpiece, a lot of people prefer to just have the stop tailpiece, and I also fall into that category. So just a piece of advice: if you're shopping around, it doesn't even need to be for a 77. It could be for a Gibson or any guitar that originally shipped with a trapeze tailpiece that had the conversion. You will get, most of the time, a significant break on the price had the guitar not been modified to begin with, because it's less collectible and it is no longer as it was from the factory. But that doesn't mean you're not going to get yourself potentially an outstanding player of an instrument. So with that out of the way, my blabbering for this segment has been concluded, I believe. We're going to be using this guitar through the Friedman Pink Taco, mic'd up by the SM57 straight into the Apollo interface. Now, the very first thing I noticed when I took this guitar out of the case and held it within my hands, this neck just screams the Momose signature. And Momose himself is the one that is in charge of the training. He still works on the floor. God bless that guy. Still, he's got to be in his late to mid 70s here and just going on strong. And his influence and the way that he has taught the other luthiers that also build these guitars for not just 77, but for other brands such as the Momose, it just feels incredible. It has this amazing, unique feel to it. It's a texture thing. It's not just necessarily the shape of the neck, which I love. And if I were to sum this guitar up, I didn't take calipers out or put this guitar on the bench. This feels like a rounded C from Gibson, around 0.9, if I had to guess, at the first fret, and tapering up to maybe 0.1 or so, give or take, at the 12th fret. It's definitely a little bit of a beefier neck to it, but because of the way that the neck is actually finished, the smoothness, this guitar just plays itself, and it immediately reminded me of an old vintage guitar in that sense. And it's hard to kind of fake that. It's really strange to me because this guitar is not that old. This guitar is less than 15 years old, and it just feels so properly well worn in. It has all the great trademarks of a great old but used and loved vintage guitar, and it's such a cool vibe. It's something that I don't run into very often, and I know that a lot of brands try to recreate that from the factory, whether it's from relicking or aging of different kinds of varieties or persuasions depending on the brand. There's something about when it's just done naturally over time. I definitely prefer it. But outside of that, you did have Goto hardware and Kluson style tuners on it. Just rock solid as far as the stability goes. You have CTS pots with a Switchcraft jack. The pickups on this guitar, if I have one thing that I do not love, this guitar was made before 77 and Momose guitars came to an agreement to work with Mojo Tone. Mojo Tone pickups now come standard in pretty much all of their higher end builds, such as the Albatross behind me and the Momose JG. These are 77 branded, made in Japan. Not that there's anything wrong with that. AL225s, I believe. They just left me not impressed, honestly. I don't think that there was something that are so bad that I was like, these got to come out immediately. I don't want to play this guitar. But I mean, the fact that I have the set of Lindy Frill and Pure PAFs in the blue guitar, I'm going to switch the two of them from one guitar to the other, kind of a transplant that's going to take me quite a long time. Switching pickups on semi-hollow instruments is just, it's a nightmare, you guys. I don't wish it upon any of you, but I'm going to get it done because I already have them. It's not going to cost me anything out of pocket, and then I'm going to be selling the blue one. And the main reason why I have no problem spending the time and knowingly giving myself a little bit of a headache as far as switching the pickups between these two guitars, honestly, what I love about Lindy Frill and pickups, and I don't really experience this from too many other aftermarket pickup brands, the note separation, the note kind of distinction, especially once you start to add in gain, the clarity that Lindy winds his pickups to, it is just on a whole nother level, and I'm spoiled. I'm so used to playing that caliber of a pickup that when I play something that, these are by no means bad. And honestly, if I'm going to compare these to, say, what come in S2 PRS, I think that these are significantly better than those pickups, but I still don't think they're quite up to the level of something like Lindy Frill and Pure PAFs. It's my only real complaint with the guitar, but yeah, it's missing a pick guard. Yeah, it's got some holes on the bottom of it, but my God, the neck on this is to die for. It feels amazing. It feels like I got such a great deal and a great price on top of all of it when it came to purchasing this guitar from Art and Beats in Japan, as well as the extra vinyl records that were also in the order. If you can find one of these guitars with or without the trapeze around $1,000, you're gonna have a really really hard time getting something better. But that's going to bring us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think about this guitar. Other than that, I really hope you have a great day. Thank all of you for watching. Thank all of you who are subscribed to the channel. Thank all of you who are members to the channel. You guys are the best. I love all of you. Play your guitars, have fun, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.